Hi everyone, good evening. Hi, I'm Susan Lenox and my husband Jim, and we are going to talk tonight about how to sell and how we feel when we hear people tell us no. My husband has been in sales all his life, and he's going to talk a little bit about some things that he goes through and some ideas that might help us tonight. But I'm personally not a salesperson. My day job is within education, and I've always said if we had to count on me to sell, we'd probably go hungry. And here I am now trying to bring information to others, and now I'm in the sales type industry. So I've watched Jim for many years, and I've been able to pick up on some ideas and thoughts. I have my way of doing things, and then he has his way of doing things. And so I think it comes down to, as we talk tonight, it comes down to how you feel comfortable talking to individuals about a product that you feel very comfortable with, you believe in. That's a main thing. You need to believe in what you're talking about. But Jim's going to talk about being comfortable with that, being able to tell your story, and talk from the heart. So,
yeah, I think the theme of tonight's session is just to deal with the no's or the discomfort you might have in selling, because many of you have gotten into the oils because you found the benefits of them for you and your family. But then all of a sudden you realize, hey, I might be able to start a business doing this, and that's not natural or comfortable for you. I've been selling food products and been in the nutrition business since 1981 officially, and I talk nutrition on a regular basis in my business. So when I started really doing the research on the oils, I found that it is a natural part of kind of what I do and the people I talk to. But a lot of folks get very self-conscious, they get very uncomfortable, and they feel like, hey, if I talk to my friend about this might become awkward, it might affect my relationship, and so on. So we wanted to just take a couple of minutes today to address some really basic mentality or the psychology of doing some selling with the oils that might take some pressure off and might make it more natural for you. We're happy to address any questions you might have, and we feel like that this topic is so complex, we might have a couple of videos on this. But the main thing I want to get across today is trying to make things natural for yourself, to speak from the heart. So the first thing you have to understand in selling, that money is not a motivator. It's easy for us to say, hey, I need to get that paycheck, or I really want to sell these so I can reimburse myself for the oils I use. But you're always going to be able to talk yourself out of that. So the first thing you really need to do is really sit down and have a self-conscious thought with yourself regarding what is it that motivates you to sell. And it's got to be more than money. It's got to have something to do with someone you're helping, whether it's your children, putting together some support for them, whether it's an aged parent that you need to start being concerned about them, or a variety of other reasons. In my day job and what I'm doing all day long with regards to food sales, I'm always thinking about those folks that are packaging and putting the products together so that I can go out and sell them. These people don't have the mentality to sell. They require me to sell so they can keep their job in the food plant. And so that's what motivates me. And of course, I get up and I keep moving forward. So the second thing, once you determine what your motivating factor is, the next thing is to understand what consultative selling is. And consultative selling is a non-pressure sales environment. You are not selling a product to somebody that you hope they buy. You're really actually sitting down with them, discussing a product and its virtues and its benefits. And if they decide to buy it, if they see the virtues and benefits, then great. If they don't, it's no problem. And so you'll come across a lot more relaxed. One of the styles of consultative selling is storytelling. So if you're able to talk about your story about how you got introduced to oils, the thoughts and the feelings that you had when you first heard about oils, or some of the things you've learned since on how the oils benefit you and your family. Then you've got a story to tell. And then as you get more clients or have more downline, they're going to have some successes that you're going to be able to incorporate into your story. But the big thing is to say, hey, let me tell you this story. I mean, literally be a storyteller.
And I think that's where we say you need to talk from your heart. Just give insight to what you know and what has benefited you. And I think that genuine care and kindness, and I just want to tell you about a product, it comes out when you're having that conversation with someone.
Sure. A lot of people get nervous because they think, I mean, we go to our classes and we hear our upline talk about we need to make this point and talk about the oils and how they started out in the Garden of Eden, and we start getting this verbiage and these points, these bullet points that we think we're supposed to hit. So the second point that beyond storytelling is to scrap the script. Don't worry about saying things in a certain order or a certain way, because if you start being worried about a script, now all of a sudden your mind is about the script and you're taking your focus off of the person you're talking to. So you want to make sure that you're siding with that customer, that you hear what they have to say, deal with their objections. And so that's where the natural question answering part comes. Say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to partner with you, let's talk about these oils, let's talk about how they can benefit you and your family. And then I want to make sure all your answers, all your questions are answered.
So you bring up a good point. You make a comment of when you're starting to talk to someone, you're telling about the product, but then they have some questions back and forth, and they give maybe some negativity, and you know, it's difficult for someone who's not in sales to understand when you're talking to someone and a person who is a friend of yours or a family member says no to you. It feels like it shuts you down, and it feels very personal that they're telling you, your person, you, no. And that's really, I had to kind of get through that they're not telling me no. They're not saying, Susan, I don't like you as a person or anything like that. They're saying that the education or the product that I'm talking about just doesn't make sense to them, and maybe even yet. It doesn't mean that when someone says no to you the first time, that down the road, it doesn't mean that they won't come back later, or if you still have conversation with them. But I had to come up with a way to feel very comfortable just talking about the products that I believe in. Even though someone might say no to me, it's not me they're saying to me individually. They're just saying no to the product.
Mm-hmm. I'm in consumer sales, and it is a understanding in consumer sales, even if you're talking about watching the commercials on TV, these big products from big companies, it is understood that a person has to see or be exposed to a product 3 times before they will actually entertain buying it. So whether it's a commercial on TV, an ad in a magazine, they hear about something from a friend at work or in a social environment, once they start hearing about a given product 2 and 3 and 4 times, then they start saying, well, maybe there's something to this. So if this is the first time you sat down with someone, don't think that you're going to try to sell them that time just because you're passionate about it. They're going to have to take 2 or 3 exposures. I'll give you a perfect example. I have someone today that I spoke to on the phone. It's a business associate. I talked about the oils to them earlier this week. She said she wanted to know more about them. So the conversation earlier this week was her exposure the first time. Then we set up a conversation today, being the weekend, where we had some more time to talk. So we spoke for an hour and a half today about the oils, and she started talking herself into the benefits. She started revealing to me some of the supplements she's buying at the stores, some other medication her husband is taking. So the bottom line, she's now starting to talk herself into these oils, all because I'm taking a very non-pressure storytelling, let me consult with you point of view. At the very end of the conversation, I really thought I was going to sign her up, but then she came back and said, well, it's $160. So my response to that was, don't worry about that right now. Let's keep thinking about it. Let's keep talking about it. Talk with your husband. Let's find out everything that you're currently buying that Young Living can replace. And so therefore, the dollars and cents, they're probably already spending it just elsewhere on everything from their cleaners under their sink to medication to other supplements. So by not pressuring her, by saying, hey, let's talk next week more about it. Let's just keep the conversation alive. Any questions you have, let me know. And we scheduled a time next Tuesday to talk again. So and the approach was, let me call you next Tuesday to find out what more questions you and your husband have. And so I left it at that. So now she's been exposed to it 2 times. Next Tuesday will be exposure number 3, along with some online. I told her to go to the Young Living site, our Baby Steps site, and some other things. So hopefully by next Tuesday, she's going, okay, we've decided to purchase a PSK.
Yeah, and I think everybody has a different way of doing it. Some individuals like to go and have coffee, or they like to sit down and have a party. I personally work full-time during the day, and so I call my lunches my lunchtime learnings, and I just let people know where I'll be in different parts of the city, and if I'm able to meet with them during a lunchtime, and we have 1 hour, they don't feel pressured that I'm going to sit around and keep them there for a long time. We take parts of the information, whether it's about oils, whether it's about seed to seal, different things like that. And as they ask me questions, I can fill in the blanks with information about the company and about what I have to offer them off of questions that they're asking me. So I think I come across as I'm listening to them, I'm answering their questions, instead of just going full force into, okay, we have 1 hour and this is all the information I need to give you. Well, I do it the opposite way. I say, okay, we have 1 hour. What questions do you have? And I make sure I have my oils there and I open up all the bottles. But I think I already know that we will be leaving that session, that 1 hour lunch, and then we're going to talk again. And I think so many people are concerned that at the end of that 1 hour, I'm supposed to be fulfilling all their needs and every information that they need. And I think that's where sometimes we feel we're giving overkill and we've lost that person on the information.
Sure. Yeah, this can be very, very overwhelming. So that's why storytelling is important and addressing their specific needs. I went through the PSK kit with this lady earlier today, and I very simply went through with literally 1 or 2 sentences each oil because I didn't want to overwhelm her. But I talked about the practical uses. So that was part of the storytelling. This is how we use this oil in my house. This is how I use this oil. And so I think that's the point that Susan and I are trying to make, is that it's very easy to get really concerned and avoid selling if you are concerned about closing the sale. So I think consultative selling, storytelling, question answering takes closing the sale out of it, takes the pressure out of it. Let Young Living and all its virtues and benefits do its thing, and you just be the conduit to tell the story.
And I know that we all get so excited about what the products have done for us, and we just want to pass that along to other individuals so that they can come on board and get those benefits. But what we have to try and remember is, as much as we want to help them come on board. We don't want to push them on board. And so I think in trying to bring all of this together is that when someone tells us no to the individual products, don't take it personally. It is not, oh my gosh, I didn't tell them this information, or I didn't do this right. If you speak from the heart and you tell your story and you just answer questions and you give them a little time to let it soak in, and then you come back again, and as Jim said, probably a third time coming back, and you're giving information, then the oils will speak for themselves, the products will speak for themselves. And they've also got a genuine person giving them information. And they're not saying no to you, they might be saying no to the situation, but that doesn't mean that they won't ever come back to you and say, oh, by the way, I think now might be the right time for me. So as much as we're not sales people, we are individuals who believe in products, and let that shine forth and see how that takes you to new relationships with people, new friendships, and hopefully maybe you start ranking up and you feel good and you're helping others, and then life keeps going on.
Very good. Yeah, if you feel like you have some questions or you want to speak with us, you know how to reach out to us through Facebook. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Appreciate you joining us.
Good night.